Whoa. That's some punk rock.
That's better than punk rock because it's been standardized and proceduralized.
What you're saying.
Now everyone can experience punk rock in exactly the same way as everyone else.
And isn't that what punk rock is all about?
Absolutely.
Answer.
I'm bumping you both up because I do not want to stop this punk rock.
I mean, that's punk rock the way a role-playing game is an actual fight. You use a lot of the same terminology, but the heart's not there.
Yeah.
That may be the best fake punk rock I've heard in a long time. They can hear us. Hi, folks. We missed you.
There we go. Holy smokes. That punk rock was so punk. You couldn't hear anything.
Well, it tried. Yeah.
It definitely did. Nice. Oh, look at this crowd. Already they are assembled, much like Avengers, to hang out, with Owen and I.
They're better than Avengers. They're ThursdAGents.
I love it. That is true. They are ThursdAGents. And ThursdAGents, you'll be happy to know that we got the big boss hanging out with us today. We are going to talk about...
Oh, Nicole's here? I didn't know.
Boom.
My life.
Yes. The other boss.
Oh,
be
sure.
none other than Chris Pramas.
Hello.
I have learned something, Chris.
Yeah.
We share a middle name.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
What is it?
Cornhusk. Cornhusk Hewitt. And no, William. It's William.
Yeah. My middle name derives from my grand uncle, who was a Greek immigrant who joined the U.S. Army in World War I and was killed on the first day of the Second Battle of the Marne in 1918.
Wow.
So,
okay. An homage to somebody, giving their all to their country. And, that is a moving origin story. I'll have to get back to you on what Cornhusk and where that came from, because I have no freaking clue. It just kind of came out of my mound. My mound came out of my mouth and my mind, which I call a mound. Duke, hello. Good to see you. I'm glad that you joined us. Nicole is in the audience, so be careful. Love it.
I think I have that under control. Yeah.
Very, very nice. Let's see. Oh yeah, Jahan is here. We've got Jose is here. Rain is here. We just have the whole crew. We've missed you. And Chris says, I share a Christian name as Chris. A lot of people don't know this, but your first name is actually Christmas.
Christian, yeah. That is correct.
I'm going to sprinkle this whole thing with just pure garbage facts. We'll see who's listening.
I don't know why, but I believe that you'll do it.
It's just a gift I have. So ThursdAGE is not going to be about me just, flapping my gums. There will be some of that, of course, because why not? But we're really going to talk about a host of things. Chris, you were at Gen Con, so we're going to talk a little bit about that. And we've got the audience is packed. People are clamoring for answers, Chris. They want to know the important things. And so, folks, if you didn't know that you needed to bring questions, think of some stuff that you'd like to know from Chris. Chris has done, I think, how many interviews do you think you've done over the course of your?
Oh, I don't know. Many hundreds.
Many hundreds. I mean, like literally. Yeah. I mean, you've been doing. Yeah. I mean, and that's no joke. That is a lot. So there's a lot of information about you out there on the web already. Is there ever like that one question you're just like, oh shoot, they didn't ask me again? Like just the one thing you want everyone to know.
Well, I don't do this as much these days, but early in my career, I would often put in like punk rock references into my work. Figuring that, maybe some people would get it and they would find it funny. And there's stuff that I put into various books that like no one has ever come up to me and been like, oh man, like I caught that We Are 138 reference in that Feng Shui adventure you did in 1995.
That is awesome. I love that. That is very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So folks should be on. They should go and get your body of work and just rifle through it and look for all the hidden gems, the Easter eggs, if you will, alluding to punk rock, which you used to be in a band, right?
Yeah, I had a couple bands back in the 90s.
Nice.
I was in the Ex-Teenage Rebels in a band called Adverse Possession. The singer for both of those.
Both nice. Okay, now do you ever just sort of sit at home and just sort of punk rock it out, like?
Yeah, particularly in quarantine. So.
Oh yeah. So do you write songs still, or do you create, or are you just rocking out with your collection?
I have not written a song in a long time. I actually did consider, because I don't have a band, like writing some lyrics and putting them out there for bands to use. Put this to music with my blessing, but I have not done that yet.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I think that we could really pull together an age punk rock song. Don't you think, Owen?
No.
I don't know if anger is an emotion we want associated with.
I'm fine with associating anger with age, right? Anger age, wrath age, we can do that. But if we were to do a punk rock song associated with age, the point there would be to commercialize it. And if Chris writes lyrics for a punk rock song, the last thing he's going to try and do is commercialize it. Yeah. So I feel that this is absolutely antithetical to the entire point of having Chris do punk lyrics.
So I
will not support it.
You're like, I will not stand for this. I hear you, but I hear just maybe a little promise, like maybe we might be able to squeak something out. But anyway, we'll figure it out later. I was hoping to write a punk rock song for you, Chris, but like all good individuals with ADHD, I did not do that. So yes, let's talk about Gen Con. Now, Owen, I will say, unfortunately, because it's always a joy hanging out with you, and you were missed and people stopped by the booth and I gave really bad advice and nobody listened. And then I got COVID and fortunately didn't give it to anybody else. That was the thing that was just killing me as I was dying and asking, the emergency room doctor to euthanize me. Chris, you managed to get through it. That's a true story, by the way. But you were untouched, unscathed.
I have never gotten COVID yet, like knock on all the wood. I'm trying to keep myself safe.
Absolutely.
So far so good, but like it was easier when people took quarantine seriously and took mask wearing seriously. But also, that first year wasn't really going anywhere. But we have started to do some conventions again. I'm going to be in London next month, and just gonna do my best to keep safe.
Absolutely, yeah. So, I loved the convention. It reminded me of what I was missing. People, and once you kind of figure out how to fast walk again around people who are kind of slow with giant backpacks. It really was a lot of fun. How would you compare this year's Gen Con to, say, Gen Cons of the past? Or what capacity would you say we were at?
2019. Compare it to 2019.
Yeah. Like for us, this year was kind of 2/3 of 2019, so better than last year. Although last year, which was deeply weird because we hadn't been in a convention in a while, but there were fewer people and they really spread out the exhibitor booths, so it didn't feel as crowded as a Gen Con typically did. But this year it did feel like that. There was a lot of people there. And well, I commend Gen Con for having a mask and vaccination policy for the convention center itself. All the surrounding restaurants and hotels and all that. There was no such policy. So, we did a lot of like ordering in to our hotel room to have dinner, things like that.
Yeah, very true.
Yeah.
Very true. It was great to be on the show floor, though. People, Gen Con did a phenomenal job when they had discovered that I was one of the people that got COVID. They were getting into the tracing and all that, and very responsible and much appreciated. And really, they did handle it incredibly well. So that was that. But it was great to see our old friends. We had lots of people stopping by the booth and hanging out. And, I think everybody was feeling that same way, no matter how maybe, more introverted a person may be. It was a great time to sort of to feel that, that camaraderie again. It was really a ton of fun. Now, do we want to share any of the big announcements sort of with some more clarity from Gen Con?
Well, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Why not?
No, we totally do, right? I mean, I didn't get to go to Gen Con. Some of the people watching didn't get to go to Gen Con. This will be up on YouTube, so anyone who's wondering what we're up to will be able to point at this and say, hey, listen to President Chris Pramas talk to us about what we announced at Gen Con. So since this is the ThursdAGE show, I might suggest that we save some of the age announcements towards the end so that we can hold on to our audience, force them to listen, and start by talking about some of the other really exciting stuff Green Ronin has coming up.
Yeah. Just one last thing on Gen Con itself, I will say, is that Gen Con has like just a particular magic to it. And it's not like other conventions I go to. Like, I enjoy the PAX shows, but they don't feel like Gen Con. And so I think a lot of people experienced, like, oh yeah, like this is back in my life and I like it.
Agreed. I agree with you. Very different show. It's got its own wonderful vibe.
Yeah. Yeah. So where should we start?
Why don't we start with M&M?
Okay. We are working on a crowdfunder it's called the Mutants and Masterminds Reprint Extravaganza. Basically, a bunch of the third edition Mutants and Masterminds books have fallen out of print over the past few years. COVID has not made it easy to both publish new books and reprint older books. And so we're going to do this big crowdfunder. And basically, the way it is structured, at the start of the campaign, we're going to do power profiles and gadget guides, which are the two most requested books for us to reprint, and also the core rulebook, because we just recently sold out of the, I want to say, 5th print run of M&M 3. So that's to start. And then basically the way it's structured is, the stretch goals are we unlock other books, and then you can get those as add-ons. So the more money that we make, the more books we're going to reprint, and we could reprint up to 9 different books in this campaign.
We're going to get there.
Let's hope.
I'm certain of it. The reaction from our friends at Patreon and the just sort of word on the street. I'm just walking around and people are like, "Did you hear the news?" And they're all very excited about it. So we're doing that through BackerKit.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Is it backer crowdfunding at BackerKit or something along those lines?
Yeah. So. Yeah. BackerKit, if you've ever backed a Kickstarter, you're probably familiar with, because they provide all the back-end tools and stuff that Kickstarter should provide but doesn't, and they've made a big business out of that. So they now have started their own crowdfunding platform, which I think is just called Crowdfunding by BackerKit. And we're going to be running it over there and seeing how that goes. I think they're well positioned for their own situation, and should do well for us, I think.
Absolutely.
I mean, they've got access to mailing lists that they've built.
Oh yeah.
And And for that matter, since they started with the hard part, actually giving people stuff, moving to the easy part of taking money to give people stuff seems like a natural evolution for them.
Yeah, and it means you'll be in it'll just be the same place where you both back the project, and then provide your shipping info and add any extras you want and all that. So
love it.
Just
It'll be
a
familiar.
one-stop shopping.
Yeah, it'll be familiar, but just in a different spot, we'll start in a different spot.
You end up in the same place.
That's right. That's right.
Getting stuff.
Go ahead, Chris.
Oh, I just said getting stuff. That's the place you're going to end up with. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll have the list of books. I popped it up for just a second, and I looked, and I was like, you know what? It has Kickstarter on it, and so we're gonna. We don't like people, but it has all the names of the titles. We'll get that out there, and people will be able to see it. Also, it sounds like a very slow lawnmower is slowly creeping into my house. So if I get
or Terminator,
or Terminator, absolutely. Well, or both.
Yeah.
Could be a robo mower that is just here to kill.
I would be back.
So call to action for the ThursdAGents. If you've got friends, family, random strangers, people online who play M&M, who have been talking about wanting to get some of these very much in demand books in print, let them know that Alex says, y'all talking about M&M, you must have summoned me. Well, yes, of course we did. Let them know that this is coming. And to keep an eye out for it, because this is an opportunity for the community to dictate what books stay in print. And I know it can be very frustrating as a fan when, you've had a book for 20 years and you can't get another copy, or you finally get to start that game and four of your friends are like, ooh, we want those. And you're like, well, those are all out of print now. And PDFs are great. In no way am I knocking them. I use them a lot myself, but I tend to use PDFs in play so I can do a quick text search. When I want to sit back and read a rule book, I prefer a nice print book that I can hold in my hand and smell the paper on. So
absolutely, you're not alone in that.
Yeah, this is a chance for you all to be part of determining what the process, what the community decision on what lives and what dies will be.
Absolutely, Chris.
Let's not say die, Owen.
Lingers.
I'm trying to raise the stakes here, Chris.
You really are. Yeah, you're really taking it there.
We have a strict company policy about not dying. So
I didn't know that applied to inanimate objects. I thought it was staff only. All right, okay.
Keep the dream alive, Owen. Keep the dream alive. So I was going to say, did we? And apologies if we touched on this. I was frantically clicking and might have missed it, but this is also a chance to pick up all the things that you may be missing at a good price now, because printing and shipping and all of that stuff is a little bit hair raising, right?
Oh yeah, that's actually an important part about this crowdfunder is as I'm sure everyone knows, there's a lot of inflation and COVID and its knock-on effects are making everything more expensive. Yeah. So when we reprint these books, they're all going to be going up in price, generally speaking. But you get them at the old price if you back during the crowdfunder. So
nice.
Everything will be going up, $5-ish. So you can lock in the original price if you support the crowdfunder.
See, that's the way to raise the stakes.
That's the way to do it. Right.
I mean, the cost of paper is up. The cost of shipping is up. The cost of labor is up. Books can't stay at the same price forever. So, help us help you.
Show us the money. Yeah, I like it.
But not as much money as you'd have to show us later.
Show us not quite as much money as you'll have to show us later.
Yeah.
We should write a movie, I think. Love it. Okay, great. So that is, let's see what folks are saying. Oh, they're saying, yay. They're saying, hooray. Rad. That is actually true. Someone did say rad. It was Duke. Super excited about the Kickstarter. Great.
Yeah, but they're also asking Alex how Steve and Crystal are going to steal his youth. So as if we would expose that secret on the open air.
No, we would not. But, Alexander Thomas is known as the bad boy of the TTRPG space. So,
is he? I I have heard that he is the GM most likely to inflict trauma on you. That I've heard.
That is true. He is also the GM most likely to.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, just most likely to. Whatever it is, he's going to do it 10 of it. And
Well, like shout out to Alex at Gen Con. He, in addition to working at the booth, ran a bunch of M&M games. So,
and they were great.
Yeah. So.
They were so fun to watch. Alex is one of my favorite GMs, and also just a great convention companion. Couldn't ask for a better one.
Yeah. And Jonesy in the chat also ran a bunch of games. So.
Well, and I heard from people both at the booth and friends of mine who were at the convention that more than one person was like, "Hey, I just played this great game. I'm going to go pick up the rule book." So those efforts had literally paid off.
Retro Station 1989 says, "Howdy, gents, Orc Lord." So there you go. I'm a little. I'm wondering if that's some sort of shout out to the past or something.
I'm sorry. Did you say that again?
Orc Lord.
Oh, yeah. Well, we publish Orc, the role playing game. So
I
that's
see.
probably a reference to that. It's a beer and pretzels role playing game that was actually Gunnernin's very first game. Came out June 2000, June or July 2000.
Yeah.
Was it not 99?
No.
Okay.
Because it came out about a month before Death in Freeport, which many people
Okay.
think was our first book.
Our first
but
game,
it was actually the second. And then Malcolm Shepard designed a second edition of that of Orc, which
It's
came
Dan
out.
Hauser. Dan Hauser's Retro Station 1989.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
Hi, Dan.
Oh, hey Dan. Yes, yeah. Dan did all the art for Orc second edition.
I see. Dan, so you were saying you were the Orc Lord.
Yeah. And Nicole's specifically saying it was Origins 2000, which
that's right.
goes with that timeline.
Yeah.
You know, when you do this for as many years, it all kind of blends together in one big long campaign. I'm imagining. Go ahead, Chris.
Oh, I was going to say, my first professional work was 1993. So, a lot of things have happened, and some of them I remember.
That's right. That's right. And some of the things you're supposed to remember them yesterday. That's my problem. I'm having a real foggy brain. Here's a question for you. There's more going on with Mutants and Masterminds, right?
There is, which I don't think we've talked about publicly yet, but we can.
Let's do it.
I love talking about things publicly here for our Thursday agents first. It gives them a nice glowy feeling knowing that they're hearing before anyone else. Or that's what I tell myself.
Yeah.
They glow. They glow.
Well, so speaking of our early years, first edition Mutants and Masterminds came out in 2003. And because we were not selling PDFs at that point, because that was still like new territory, there were a lot of concerns about pirating and blah, blah, blah. It was a little while before we started to sell PDFs. And so...
And what one bookshelf had not become the unified juggernaut of PDF distribution in a single place for sales.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, it was RPG Now. Drive-through wasn't even around yet.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Anyway, so Mutants and Masterminds first edition stuff has never been released as PDFs. And so what we've decided to do is, first of all, do that. But secondly, we're making a big, huge Mutants and Masterminds bundle that's going to have the first edition PDFs and all the second edition PDFs for like $30. So you can get, 2/3 of the history of Mutants and Masterminds for $30.
Yes. And we're calling it the Fundle Bundle.
Are we?
No? Are we calling it? Maybe I missed the meeting. I've been out.
Yeah.
Will be fun nonetheless.
Yeah. So, great price. You get tons of stuff. And if you're playing third edition, there's a lot of characters and background stuff and adventure stuff that you can easily adapt. Or you could play either previous edition if you want to.
This just in, no, it will not be called the Fundle Bundle.
Nicole has spoken.
It was literally.
See, I was literally going to pitch that we call it the Massive Nice Mega Bundle because that's M&M, right? But
Ah.
but the important thing is that this is an opportunity for people to get material that isn't in print, hasn't been available on PDF. It is part of gaming history and Green Ronin history. And there's a lot of cool stuff there, even if you're playing the 3rd edition of the game. There's a lot. I mean, first of all, there's character art and concepts, but there's also a lot of stuff that is very easily tweaked and adapted to the.
Absolutely.
Yes, there have been changes, but if you are a experienced M&M GM, I do not expect you to have any problems grabbing things from Crooks, for example, and putting them into your game.
Absolutely, yeah.
And you can always use good maps and things like that as well.
Yeah. For a lot of GMs, and for M&M, kind of all you really need for a villain is a certain, hey, he's PL9. That tells me what almost all his numbers should be on average, and then just run an adventure. So it's the adventure that has frequently worked for people. And again, I might not convince you all to spend $30 each for these PDFs, but $30 for all of them, that ought to be a deal.
Come on.
Yeah. That ought to be a deal that everyone, even if you don't play M&M, you ought to buy all of 1st and 2nd edition, basically. For $30. That's 2 editions of a game.
Yeah, Mutants and Masterminds 1st edition, that was a big deal for the company. We had a lot of initial success selling D20 stuff that was playable with 3rd edition D&D, but when Mutants and Masterminds started out, it was like Steve Kenson designing a D20 superheroes game. And what happened was, over the course of design, Steve would come to me and say, well, we could do it the D20 way, or we could make it better for the genre. And, every time I was like, make it for the genre, because it's a supers book. And basically at a certain point, we realized that this was no longer going to be a D20 supplement. It was just going to be its own game. And so we made this 4-page flyer in full color that had 2 characters and some basic rules, so you could have a bash up and get a sense of what it was going to be all about. And then we printed something like 20,000 of those and put them into the Gen Con show bag. So as soon as you got to Gen Con and you got your bag, you could see the exciting new thing that we had. So good times with 1st edition.
Yeah, lots of fun.
I've never told Chris this, by the way, but I was looking at trying to launch something, having left Wizards of the Coast, to be mine, to stake out the D20 space. So I had just decided to start doing work on a D20 Supers game, which was going to be much worse than M&M, because it was going to be, I was going to skew much closer to D20. And I had literally spent, a couple days working on it, and I went to Gen Con and I got this flyer, and I was like, well, not that. I'll do something else.
The name of that project was Mutants and Masterminds.
Well, and then later, that's a different story. D20 Spectaculars is a whole different story. But I very specifically saw, these people are making a supers game. Yeah, I'm not going to compete with that. That is absolutely not on my list of things to do.
And the rest is history. So get your bundle when it comes out.
And now you can buy that history for $29.95.
That's right. Yeah. And it'll be available Drive Through RPG. It'll be available through us in our store. We'll be selling it on street corners in your neighborhood. Just look for the capes and give us a hug. Let's see. There is another thing going on, right? Do we want to talk about any of the? I have to be sort of obtuse about it, because I don't want to give away a secret if it can't be, disseminated.
Well, I'm not sure what you're referring to now, so other thing.
The audience, this is just my way to see if we can't get Chris to admit some secret stuff that's going on, but I can't do it. So we've got those big things cooking. Let's switch gears to Age and talk about Age stuff. Which is really what this show's about. ThursdAGE, the adventure game engine. So Owen, I noticed, or I don't think it is lost on me that we haven't really had a lot of time to hang out because of COVID and all that madness. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm fine. I added another game company to the list of people I work for. Evil Genius Games, which is no relation to Rogue Genius Games, even though that has created a huge amount of confusion that I keep getting emails about.
Is it Little Genius?
Is it what?
What is it called again?
Evil.
I thought you said Little Genius. I was like, wait, was in a tiny one or not much?
Yeah, no. So there. I'm sure someone will make Little Genius Games. There are plenty of Genius game companies out there. I have only worked for 3 of them.
Yeah.
But
Rogue Genius is yours, though.
Yes, Rogue Genius is mine. I own it, so hopefully I will never stop working for it. Although, I was part owner of Super Genius, and I don't work for them anymore. So, as Chris said, been doing this since the 90s. A lot has happened. Some of it I remember. And then the other thing that I've been doing is looking at some really exciting options for VTT support for the Fantasy Age Core rulebook,
Nice.
which I don't think it's anything that we're ready to announce yet, but we are, in the pandemic, we have been doing a great deal more VTT gaming than we were beforehand. I think that's true for pretty much everyone in the company. It says that's the life cycle of Owen: Little Genius to Rogue Genius to Evil Genius to Reformed Anti-Hero Genius. Make me sound like a Pokemon, Alex. Anywho, but we want to take some of the things that we've learned playing with VTTs and some of the things that people are telling us, and put out some options for VTT that take advantage of the fact that it is a different format than print or PDF. And so that's been a conversation that I've been having with Chris and Nicole and Jonesy, that I think everyone's going to be very excited about the end result. But for the moment, we're just going to tease you that it is a thing that is being worked on.
Ongoing, yes.
Yeah.
And then we've got something that's kind of in the pipeline for release. Yeah.
Well, we got the core rulebook.
That's what I'm talking about. Yay.
Okay.
We've gotten a lot of questions, even at the show. A lot of people were very, very interested in kind of knowing where we're at. And it's generally good news, right?
Yeah, where we're at is that it's in layout now, and art is in progress. So, the actual writing and design and editing, like that's all done. So it's into production now.
Except for the sidebars that we designers keep threatening to shove into it because we had another thought. But beyond that, the design is done.
Yeah. So one of the challenges we and other companies are dealing with right now is that there have been paper shortages and cardboard shortages. And one of the results of that is that it's harder to print hardback books. And so some stuff like supplements and things, we're just having to make softback, which is fine. But for our core rule books, like we really want those to be hardback. And so that's that's something we're trying to figure out and source and time for all the hardbacks that we need to do over the next year.
That's right. That's why we're chiseling them all into stone tablets. Shipping them out, it will take about 6 months for them to get to your home.
It will arrive as a softback with some resin that you can paint onto the cover yourself.
Nice. I like it.
Let's make RPG books heavier.
Awesome. Yeah, people are very, very much excited about that. Do we want to touch on, we've got some time left, which is great. Do we want to touch on any other aspects of the adventure game engine?
What all did we have flyers for at Gen Con, Chris?
Well, we had one about Fantasy Age Core Rulebook. We had one about the Mutants and Masterminds crowdfunder.
I am frantically clicking because there's another thing there, and I don't.
This brain part about remembering things.
Yeah,
absolutely. But I will.
Twilight Accord. That's what it was.
That was
so. Let's talk briefly about Twilight Accord since we had a flyer for it at Gen Con.
Yeah.
Nicole just said, of course, in the chat, Twilight Accord. So
yeah. Well, she's my rye wife, so that happens.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
That's a Blue Rose joke for you. So Twilight Accord is a project that Steve Kenson and Joe Carricker are putting together, and it actually has its own Patreon, which I'm sure someone will throw the URL into the chat.
We will. Patreon.com/Twilight Accord.
Yeah. We're developing it through the Patreon, both as a way to build community for it, but also to get feedback from people, and make sure we take this in the directions that people most want to see. But sort of the big concept of Twilight Accord is that it's a queer-centric setting, like a meta setting for D&D. And by queer-centric, what we mean is it's not like, hey, this is our setting and you can be gay in it and that's fine. It's like this is about it centers queer people, and there's a lot of metaphor going on, and it's basically a way to let LGBTQ plus people have a setting that really feels like it belongs to them, and of course anyone can play in it. It's still an adventure game. Owen.
Cue the swelling music as we
Yeah.
Chris, as a queer person and being the administrator on the Patreon side of things,
yes.
It is so it is a collaborative opportunity. It is and that notion, and it really is something special when you talk about the people, this world and this setting is really, it is centering the queer voice. It is centering the queer hero experience. Seeing sort of elements of our culture, our collective queer culture, sort of inspiring magic and the lay of the land and how things shift and change, and to be a part of a community of people that are allies or identify as queer, being able to sort of just play around in that space, knowing that it was built for them, with them, it's for me very moving. And also Steve and Joe are just incredible.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yes. As designers and people, Stephen and Joe are great.
They absolutely are, and boy, they both can just turn a phrase. Really beautiful work, and very thoughtful, and inclusive. So that is even amongst the queer community, as we are learning what it means to unmarginalized people within marginalized communities. This whole project is really special, really something special, and you're going to want to check that out. And that's patreon.com/Twilight Accord, and we're going to be doing some fun stuff that with the folks who are on the outside looking in, maybe pondering a connection or wanting to get involved in. You shall see, and check it out. Link in chat. I love cool. That. Yeah. And so, that's not necessarily age, but it's important. I'm trying to think if there's any other great stuff outside. We did make the announcement, the worldwide announcement, that you're back in the writing chair again for your punk rock opus to the adventure game engine. And we'll keep people up.
You did what now?
What? What else do we have?
Well, we released a Blue Rose adventure anthology at Gen Con.
That's
called
right.
6 of Cups. So if you've been following Blue Rose for a while, you know that we did this a few years ago with a book called 6 of Swords. So it's similar format. These names come from the tarot. It's 6 new adventures for Blue Rose. So that's right. Available right now. Yeah.
It is available right now. We close pre-orders. Folks who are ThursdAGE agents will no doubt have already picked up their copy, because we talked about that and had a one Mr. DePeza, if I'm saying that right. I probably am not.
You mean Stephen Michael DePeza? Is that?
That's right. That's right. Yeah. And I was wrong. But so he was delightful. It's great work. It's so fun. It gives you so much more Blue Rose sort of settings goodness.
Yeah. Upcoming Age stuff. Apart from Fantasy Age, we're of course continuing on with the Expanse, and so early next year we'll have the Sol system. So our most recent book for the Expanse was called Beyond the Ring, and if you're familiar with the books, that takes the timeline forward that the game deals with until the ring gates have opened, and then it becomes possible to explore all these distant star systems and have a whole new style of adventure. So that's out now, and Beyond the Ring is super fun. What?
I was going to say, we've got the other thing that we just released.
Oh, hold on, I'm not done.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah.
So the Sol system, we thought we would take it back around Earth and just give a lot more details about Earth and Mars and the belt, with a bunch of new stuff and opportunities there too, before we move back to the sort of the timeline that we're doing, where we release source books that cover the events of a couple of the books, and give you new opportunities. So coming up is the Free Navy Conflict, which anyone who knows the character of Marcos Enaros, you'll soon be able to punch him. Relatively soon.
I love it.
Green Ronin, giving you people you want to punch since 2000.
That's right. Yeah, we make some punchable villains.
Yeah. So, what were you talking about? Oh, Bounty Hunter.
Yeah, I was talking about Trades of the Expanse. I'm so excited about that because it really does sort of flesh out all the stuff that's going on. Who are you as you're doing this stuff? What are your trades? And we started with Bounty Hunter, and it's a great. People really love it.
Yeah. Steve Kenson wrote that, and it's the first of a new PDF series called Trades of the Expanse. Each one focuses on one profession in the Expanse, telling you more about it, telling you how to involve it in your campaigns. It's player focused, so it's like you want to be a bounty hunter. It's a very useful thing to get, but there's also GM material in there as well with adventure hooks and some NPCs and stuff like that. So it's I think 14 or 15 pages, but it's a lot of useful stuff for your Expanse campaign.
Absolutely, and that's available in PDF. I've dropped a link to our drive-through RPG, and we also have it at our store. But interestingly enough, we are at this space, and we are coalescing around what one sentence sort of sums up Green Ronin, and the legacy of work and the incredible talent. And I think Nicole has picked. We make punchable villains. Yeah, I mean that's a pretty strong one, but
yeah. So I mean, to be fair, James S.A. Corey created Marcos Enaros, but
yes,
we're the ones that are going to let you punch him.
That's right.
He has been beyond. He's been beyond the fist of the common man till now.
That's right.
I like that populist message. Sure.
Yeah, you could only punch your TV before, but now.
That's right.
And that can get expensive. Right. Well, you could have punched a book, right?
That's
right.
Which is less likely to damage the medium.
Yeah. So we respect books around here, so
that's right.
Okay, that's fair. That's all right.
That's true.
You could have loaded it up on a Kindle and punched that. So
there you go. Yeah. So some food for thought. I'm trying to think of there's so many different ways to go with that. But folks, if you got a thought or an idea or a motto that you think really fits, send it to let's play at greenronin.com and I will ignore it. Let's see. Jahan says really excited for Fantasy Age. Been loving running it. Also love the Modern Age game I'm running. Jahan is really like Mr. Age.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Troy, on Facebook we have an illustration from Stan trying to ramp up the consequences of our Kickstarter, and he's illustrated Chris doing something I'm sure Chris would never ever do, but we should still share it.
Well, that is great. I'm digging into it now, And I love to laugh.
Oh, I can't wait to see.
Done
This
with
is
love, Chris.
great.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, there's a fine line between being punk rock and you know, and being this is sort of a villain.
Between punk rock and just being a punk.
Makes
Yeah.
Chris just a tiny little bit punchable. I would say this Chris in this. Yeah, I know. Chris is like, what are you talking about? Let me get it up and show you.
Yeah, it's not fair. So.
Yeah, we like to have fun. Let's see.
Oh, while he's loading that up, we've got a question. Where did the name Green Ronin come from?
Oh, well, it's good to tell this story again because a lot of people don't know because it goes back to the 90s. So, so early on, I had a freelance writing career where I wrote for a bunch of different games. And then really too early in the whole journey in the game industry, I decided that I wanted to start my own company because, you know, punk rock was all about DIY. So, you know, let me do my own thing. And that company was called Ronin Publishing. And it was a learning experience that allowed for the later success of Green Ronin. But I had a couple partners in that. And we had this idea that we would each take a color-coded screen name on America Online. Yes, it was the 90s. And so it would be like, you know, like a Japanese giant robot show or something like that. And so I was the Green Ronin. That was my designation. And that company lasted a couple years, but, you know, fizzled out. And in 2000, I decided to go DIY again and start another company, and that was Green Ronin. And it's classic Pramas overthinking because I was like, I don't want to call it Chris Pramas Games, but I want like people in the industry at least to understand that this is my company. And because I was Green Ronin at AOL.com on all the industry mailing lists at the time, I was like, oh, I'll do that. Then, you know, people will understand that it's me. Which, you know, 22 years later, it doesn't matter at all. But
it sure worked at the time. I mean,
yeah, it's all part of the journey to get here, and what a body of work. Definitely well loved, well respected, and you know, being able to kind of whip up some of these opportunities for folks to get some of the stuff that they remember that they grew up playing. I mean, come on, that's something. But now this is, of course, not reflective of the Chris that we know. But if we were to create a villain that was Chris, you know, even Stan.
If Chris was centered behind capitalism instead of punk.
Wow, do you remember Larry the Lobster on Saturday Night Live in the early 80s?
Oh, yes.
I do. Wow, I just got this of nostalgia.
Yeah.
How funny.
Yeah.
Thank you, Stan, you troublemaker. You.
Yeah. Love you, Stan.
Good stuff. Yeah, you know, and in addition to all of the other things that we've got cooking, because moss does not grow on this Green Ronin. It is 100% every day is a new exciting idea, a new sort of live stream. A lot of people out there are really embracing adventure game engine and utilizing it to its most flexible and turning it into other things and really powering other tabletop roleplay experiences. We'll be talking more about that. We'll have some guests on that are kicking up a live stream in the modern age space, but modern age meets like a sort of robot. What do you call those robots that snap together and become a bigger robot? Like a mech?
Oh, mecha?
Yeah, sure, mecha. But we will learn all about that in a future ThursdAGE. And I just, you know, it's one of those things where you don't do something for a while and then you do it and you're like, gosh, I miss doing this. I love it. And missed hanging out with you, Owen. Owen, do you have anything cooking, things that people should know, a Patreon people should visit, a project people should toot?
I will just toot that currently, if you want to know my thoughts on a range of things gaming related or get game stats or whatever, that's owenkcstevens.com. Go check it out. And yes, there's a Patreon linked, but read an article. I will link to it in every article, and you can read the article for free and see if you want to support me in that. But we also have Patreons for Green Ronin. So there's the aforementioned Twilight Accord Patreon. There's also Mutants and Masterminds Patreon, which the Patreons there have helped the formation of things that have actually impacted released products. So
that's right. And
if you're an Eminem fan,
we have a show about that every Monday. This is your moment. I also want to say, yes, it was Voltron. That's what I was thinking. It was Voltron.
Yeah.
For sure. Hey, Chris, if people want to kind of be tuned into what's happening in the world of Chris Pramas, I'm following Twitter. Is there other places where folks might find bits of information or a blog that people might not be paying as much attention to as they should?
Wait, so on Twitter, I'm just at Pramas, so that's easy to find. I do have a blog. It's been going for a long time, but it's chrispramas.com, so also easy to remember. I don't update it all that often anymore, but I do sometimes put an article up there. Basically, like, there was that kind of golden era of blogging where I blogged a lot. And then one of the things that Facebook, like, killed in a lot of ways was the sort of longer form social media posts. And then it became, like, write a little paragraph or whatever. Anyway, there's some cool stuff on there.
There is some cool stuff on there.
You might enjoy.
I'm glad we brought it up. And you know what? Blogs are coming back. The long form writing, and people are kind of realizing that maybe we gave a little too much over to our friends at Facebook, Twitter, etc.
And the dopamine, man, you get immediate feedback, and
that's right. And then you just need it every 30 seconds. But you can take a long stroll through some of Chris's past work. In addition, tabletop role play games are not meant to be experienced at speed, and so I say hooray.
Actually, I just posted an article in July about it's kind of like my mini review of the new Warhammer, the Horus Heresy game that came out last month. So
that's right.
If you're interested in minis, you will probably enjoy that.
It's good stuff. It's long. It's great, and they might come across something about the Napoleonic armies. Right?
Perhaps, yes.
Well, gentlemen, we have reached the end of the program. Chris, thank you for coming and hanging out with us. We've been talking to, we keep saying, come hang out with us, or let's talk about some age stuff. And there's so much more to talk about when we start to unpack sort of game mechanisms and those sorts of things. So we'll have you back to talk about that too.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Happy to be here.
Owen, I think we've got a lot of stuff to talk about. Now we can catch up and we'll do it, off the mic. But we got some big things coming ThursdAGE way, and no small part of that will be hanging out with some new kids on the block that are doing some age stuff, and we're also going to be talking about the Age Creators Alliance. Lots of good stuff going on there. So, Duke, thank you so much. Everybody in chat, you're always a blast. Appreciate that, and appreciate you suffering my COVID brain. It's just as slow and a lot like the old brain, but now I have something else I can blame. Gentlemen, have a great rest of your week. We'll see everybody back here in this very same spot. We just change out the skin suits and the decorations, and we do Mutants Masterminds Monday, 2 p.m. Pacific, and in all the Green Ronin places. So, hey, do me a favor before you go. Take a look at your surroundings. Like, just sort of take a minute to breathe and look at the video you're watching, and give it a thumb or a star if you're watching. What are they giving out there? Whatever it is, give them all to us.
2 katanas up. That's
exactly right. whatever their measurement is, we want them all. Yeah. And then in addition, make sure you're subscribed. And then, you know what? I'll give your mom a call and say, hey, Mom, I really think that you'll enjoy these programs for tabletop role play games. And your mom, of course.
No kidding. I call my mother every week right after this show because she can't watch the show, but she wants to know what happens on the show. So my mommy loves me, and I have to call her and tell her what I am doing in my big important publishing jobs that she's so proud of.
That's so sweet. Do you think she want an autograph? Because I could whip something up.
I guarantee
hard
you
to hold
a
the
kick out of it.
That's really sweet. Yeah, so that's very nice. Do tell your friends, share, do all the stuff, and drop by I know, isn't that really sweet, Duke? I love it. But stop by the this stream that you're watching and type something in, something like, I love this, I'm a new person, my life is so much better now that I'm watched this, and do it on each one of our 30,000 videos that we've got up there, and maybe, just maybe, we'll save a kitten together. Everybody have a great rest of your week. I'll let you go.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye, folks.